Alrighty, what's goody? You do. It's your boy Drizzy here. And as you can see, we're going to be going over the concept of the D&D campaign that I will be creating on YouTube. Hang on. This one isn't necessarily a campaign that I have high expectations for in terms of playtime. If anything, it may end up being turned into, or at least the first couple sessions might be turned into sort of like a walkthrough, more or less. Kind of anyone that's played sports would know what I'm talking about, where it's like you walk through the campaign and go through choices and stuff like that. It might be I might turn it into something like that so I can get a feel for it. The reason why is because I'm a brand new DM, and I feel like, or I don't necessarily feel like, I know that I'm doing things wrong, or I'm not fully understanding how to DM. So the purpose of this video series is to attract the right audience, and they could either tell me that I'm doing something wrong or give me their strategies to better understand things. One of the main things that I don't understand how to do is sort of make certain classes work and things like that. But before we get into the main things that I have problems with, I will get to those on their own respective videos. We first need to go over the concept of this campaign. This campaign is a homebrew campaign, which is probably the reason why I don't expect it to go very far. But this one is essentially, I can't think of the word. It's where it's a campaign where all the anime universes are different time eras of the real universe, if that makes any sense. So it goes all the way back. The genesis story of this campaign is essentially the story of Juan, Avatar Juan from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yes, I know it's not an anime. However, it does make it to where it does make it very easy for me to transition from Avatar: The Last Airbender to like just anime in general. It was fairly straightforward. So essentially what I had to do from this point was I had to basically come up with an idea of how to go from that to that. Otherwise, it would have been a lot more difficult, and I would have had to have come up with a show to be the starting point. And none of the shows, in my opinion, really fit as a true starting point to where I could reliably branch off of. Like, let's say, for example, we started with, like, Magic or Mana from Black Clover, right? I don't see how we branch off into more spiritual powers like stands and chakra, how we get to ki, how do we get to quirks. I didn't see it. With Avatar: The Last Airbender, I could clearly see the proper path that the branches needed to go. So from that, I came up with a like a true quote unquote Genesis story, which is, there's like, from what I know, there's a Genesis story, then there's the campaign Genesis story, which the Genesis story is how this universe came to be. You don't always need that. And then the campaign Genesis story is what's going on in the campaign that your party needs to help. So I came up with a true Genesis story, which is essentially that there were three deities, one of soul, one of will, and one of life. Each one had one major dream every time something would happen. So soul, I believe her tears are the essence of soul. Did I say will? Yeah, it's soul, will, and life. Will, his fragments are pieces of will and determination. And then life breathed life into everything. And they all three had to come together and put the pieces together to make a fully functioning being, with dreams and aspirations and things of that nature. which in turn led to the creation of the lion turtles, water bending and fire bending being both positive willpower and negative willpower, air bending being soul, and earth bending being will. Those four being that, which in turn, after one's story led to them creating their own. Well, they had their own four lion turtle cities, but they started to flourish. They started to thrive, which in turn, earthbending became breathing styles from Demon Slayer. Airbending became mana from Black Clover. And waterbending and firebending combined to create one city, which in turn ended up becoming alchemy from Full Metal Alchemist. And from then, it's pretty simple to see where I'm gonna go with it. Once the lion turtles perish, they also like drop their cities off on the land. So now, like, any cultures can mix and mingle and things like that. So it's set up in a way to where it makes, at least it makes sense to me, and I'm the DM, so if I can make it make sense to me, I can more or less describe it out to anyone. Now I know what you're gonna say. What about the ones that are both physical, which is technically what willpower is, it's physical prowess, and spiritual, like chakra and taijutsu? Well, they do have both. What I needed at the beginning was I needed 3 shows that I could say these 3 make the most sense to fit this role in the campaign, or in the campaign to start. I know what you're gonna say. Black Clover is a little bit weird, because there are some people that, you know, fight with their hands. Asta, arguably Yami, Mariolina, Foygelion, pretty much all of them. But in my head, it still works as the interlockings of their soul. It's just the way that I'm gonna make it work in the campaign. That's gonna be one of the weaker ones. I could have done something else. Like I could have done, I don't know, Soul Reapers. But in my opinion, Soul Reapers is a mix of soul and physical prowess. Most of the soul choices were soul and physical prowess. So I chose Black Clover as the base because it's easier for me to go from Black Clover to Chakra to Ki than it is for me to go from Chakra, well, not necessarily Chakra to Ki, but you get what I'm saying. It's easier for me to go from base magic than to get to base magic from Chakra. It's a little bit harder to do that. So, with the baseline set in stone, we have to go over, we're still in the concept era. We just need to go over essentially what the campaign is going to be about. Now, the campaign is placed, I want to say, 250 years in the future from like now. I want to say it's 2254 or 2257. It's somewhere around. It's somewhere around there. Well, in 2200 there was a war of the century between the underworld demons, which the underworld demons in this campaign are Muzan's demons from Demon Slayer, the devils from Black Clover. They are also the demons from Seven Deadly Sins. And then they also have some Otosuki chakra within them. So yes, they are a little bit, and they're also the demons from like not Majin Buu, like Janemba from Dragon Ball Z. So they do have some heavy monsters within them. There was a war that happened. Let me see if I can figure out if I'm saying the right times. Hold on, I have it written. I could have sworn I had it written down somewhere. No, I didn't. I didn't have it written. I didn't have the time written down, but I did have written down that it was 50 years before the start of the campaign. So we're gonna say 2200. Um. So, um, there's a war that happened, and it was essentially a war over the ability of time travel. So the time before then wasn't necessarily peaceful, but it wasn't necessarily war filled. Human society um, fell under the rule of one. There was one major World War III in 2100, which in turn led to the creation of one universal government that controls everything. They control the entire planet. Everyone lives underneath their thumb, and they ended up getting people to research time. Time. Uh, they basically created chronology, which is the study of time and how to manipulate it to allow for time travel. So in turn, what ended up happening is they finally finished the research 100 years later, and they learned how to go back and forward in time. Which in turn led to the attack of I don't know how to word this right. It was more or less an attack on the capital city by the demons led by the Harbinger of Desolation, who is the deity that it is a godlike deity that the second-born deity created and stored thousands, not even thousands, millions, billions of negative souls into that being. She did it because she thought it would be good for society. Turns out, when you stick all that negative energy in one being, it definitely causes problems. So she stopped doing that, but the Harbinger of Desolation exists. The war happens. Countless people perish. And the what is his name? Uno momento, por favor. The Beacon of Order, which is the defense mechanism for the gods, ends up coming down, sealing him, and snapping his fingers and rewriting a completely different timeline. Because he got sealed, it rewrote a completely different timeline. So now, 50 years later, that war has not happened yet. The war has not happened yet in this current timeline. The Harbinger and Desolation still exists. The Beacon of Order still exists. They're both sealed. But essentially what he did is he pushed it back. He reset everyone back to where they were before the Harbinger of Desolation created their plan, or created his plan to take over. And he reset it. 50 years has passed and the seal is cracking. No one really knows how to stop it. The Nexus, what are they called? The Time Patrol Nexus. They have the seal, but they don't know how to fix it. But they do know the more of the Harbinger of Desolation's energy that comes out, the more things in history are going to start to change. They're going to start becoming volatile. And they also know that if given enough energy, the seal could break. So essentially, the main part of this campaign is Time Patrol. It's essentially the campaign of Xenoverse. Except, there's one major thing that I've added to this campaign that I've talked to my players, or my, this was a really long time ago. But essentially, there's a cult that follows the Harbinger of Desolation. I think it is literally it's the Covenant of Desolation, or the Heralds of Ruin is what their actual name is. Who believe that by freeing the Harbinger of Desolation, he will rewrite all of history and all of time and all of creation to make life even better for humans, which is not necessarily true, but it's not necessarily wrong, will rewrite everything. He'll rewrite it all from the start. So they are looking to free him, meaning they use time travel, which is free access to pretty much anyone, which is very dumb, but the government doesn't believe that people can go back in time and affect things logically. Which is odd because the person in charge of the time patrol is Trunks' great 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 grandson, but he doesn't believe that time can be changed that much. So there's that, and they go back in time and they sort of steal items. Like for example, they steal items that contain negative will. They steal items that contain negative energy. That's what they do. Like for example, when we get to it way later down the line in Dragon Ball Z, they're going to be trying to steal the negative Dragon Balls. When we get to it in JJK, they're going to be trying to steal Sukuna's fingers. Things like that. They're going for negative energy sources that they can apply to the seal, which will in turn help free the Harbinger of Desolation. With that being said, the campaign itself is going to start off with the party being recruits in the Time Patrol. So they're not going to know most of this stuff. They wouldn't know the war happened at all anyway. No one does besides 2 people. 3 people. 3 kids know. 3 students know. All the teachers know because they fought in it. But all the teachers know. But there's 3 students that know. But we won't talk about them. We'll get to them when we get to specific character episodes. So first things first. That is essentially the concept of this campaign. It's honestly, in my opinion, it's interesting. I just don't know where I want to go with the plot yet. Granted, I think I don't know where I want to go with the plot yet because I don't expect that we're gonna play this campaign unless something drastically changes in the near future. I just don't see it. I also don't feel like okay, my problem with this campaign is I think that its sessions are gonna run too long. Oh, you know what? We're not done with the concept video. I completely forgot to mention. So, I already have the concept of how I want to run classes and stuff like that, and how I want to do like anime related powers. There's 2 things where there's 2 kind of rules that I have set in place. 3, technically speaking. Number 1 is the fact that each rank you get in the Time Patrol accounts for 10 levels. So it's not actually that you are level 10 when you rank up. It's that you have access to level 10. So you still have to level up, but you have access to 10 levels. There's 6 ranks of the Time Patrol or the Cult if you want to join them. There's 6 levels, so that's 60 levels in total, which I know is ridiculous, but we did that in a way, or I did that, so you could mix and match anime-related skills. Now, this is specifically to Founding Fate and Sickly Vipers who know about this campaign, I am removing the variance thing where those ranks gave you the D&D 5e level skills. If you want, you can buy those. You can purchase those with money. You still have to purchase the skills, the anime related ones with money, but you have access to 10 total levels. And that's how we do leveling up in this campaign. is you go and purchase the skills. I have to figure out the quantifiable money value that I'm going to be placing on each level up. But that is how we are doing it. We are going to be doing a money buy level up system, essentially a skill tree. That's how it's going to work. We already have the money conversions and things like that. But that's how we're going to be doing them. So that's the main concept behind classes. The second one is there will most definitely be a rule of cool. Most of the anime related classes, you guys are gonna have to come up with the ability anyway. So make it as cool as possible. We'll balance it out when we get there. If I have to make specific resistances, cool. And number 3 is how the negation abilities are going to work in this campaign. 1, specific negation abilities. I will be listing out like their specific ties, if that makes any sense. So, for example, Aizawa. Quirks, in my opinion, are physical prowess. They are willpower. They are linked to the person. They're linked to the person themselves because it physically changes your cellular structure. Meaning, Aizawa can turn off breathing styles because that is also a physical prowess. Yes, the element is not real. However, he cannot turn off like a stand, or which a stand is linked to your soul. He cannot turn off chakra either, because chakra is both physical powers and soul. He can weaken it, but he can't turn it off. If that makes any sense. I'm trying to think of another one. The chakra negation rods. Those are linked to your soul. So those could turn off stands, but they can't turn off quirks, and they can't turn off breathing styles. Speaking of quirks, speaking of devil fruits. I don't think there's anything else like that. Quirks and devil fruits will be purchased. It is a gacha. It is a gacha machine. You will purchase it, and I will roll the dice to see what devil fruit / quirk you get. That is, unless you choose a quirk as your starting class, but then you can choose. Otherwise, I choose for you, and I also won't let you know until it activates. That way, it keeps it in line. Those ones don't have distinct levels. You just get abilities at certain level ups, which we will talk about what abilities you can and can't get. That way, you know, if you're using your devil fruit in a certain way, I'll give you abilities that help you use your devil fruit in the way that you want to use it. If that makes any sense. So, you know, negation abilities, we talked about devil fruits, we talked about the concept of the whole campaign. Is there anything else I want to mention? We talked about the skill tree sort of system. Anything else? No, not necessarily. Oh, well, I guess to be fair, there is a sort of mechanic. Let me go to rules. There is a sort of safe mechanic. Yeah, there is. Yeah, that's right. There is two mechanics I need to go over right quick, or 3 mechanics I need to go over right quick. One is that you have 3 chances to die before your character is fully dead. What I mean by that is I don't mean the 3 death saves. I mean you have 3 failed deaths before your character is fully dead. The first 2 times, the overseer, which is a bigwig, it's an AI bigwig, will pull your consciousness back to the time hub and basically bench you for the rest of the fight. The third time, however, it malfunctions and you die. And within an era, if your abilities aren't necessarily normal to the era, you must roll a deception roll after every attack to see if the public has noticed your unusual abilities. The only three classes that aren't affected by this is stands, because you can't see them, Shinigami, because you can't see them, and Demon Slayers, because the element isn't real. So they just look like really good swordsmen. And then the last mechanic, this is the last thing I need to mention in the entire video, I think, is the time hub is the only place where you can long rest. So when you're out and about in a mission, you have to short rest. You can't long rest unless you're out. This is essentially to counteract really ridiculously powerful abilities. You need to be smart with when you use them, because you don't know when you're going back. You pretty much go back at my discretion. You can try. I can let you know if you made it back or not, but you'll be going back essentially whenever not necessarily whenever I feel like it. Whenever you solved the mission, or a certain problem has ran up and you have to go back to figure out the answer to the problem, essentially things like that. But other than that, I think, oh, one more thing. There's a lot of characters in this campaign, and they will all have sort of, like, as in, like, there's a lot of characters in the time patrol, there's a lot of characters in the actual missions, right? Pretty much every character in both the time patrol, like, as in, like, I'm talking about, like, relevant time patrollers, and, like, anime characters that I can name off the top of my head, like, probably, like, we'll do, like, the top 15, top 20, will have a quest attached to them. Like, you probably could do a quest for, like, someone like Tenten, or you could do a quest for someone like Yami. You could do a quest for someone like, let's say, Zenitsu. You could do a quest for any one of them. These have no meaning to the main quest. They're essentially side quests, and they will give decent rewards. Some potentially could give legendaries. You never know. So it's worth it to go out and try to do them. That's another reason why I said I don't know if this campaign will start, is because the campaigns will runtime is really long because of these side quests and things like that. But let's see. Is there anything else? What did I just do? What did I just do? Oh, I moved it down. Dude, I thought I accidentally deleted 2 pages. I almost cried. Let's see. Is there anything else I need to mention? No. Well, I guess I can take a minute, since this video is gonna be 30 minutes. I can take a minute to mention what's in here so far. We have 7 Deadly Sins, JJK, One Piece, Black Clover, Hunter x Hunter, My Hero, Dragon Ball Z and Super, and Dragon Ball, Naruto, and Naruto Shippuden, and a little bit of Boruto, Bleach, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Did I say Demon Slayer? I said, if I didn't say Demon Slayer, then Demon Slayer. And I'm still probably gonna add a couple more. I kind of want to get it up to 15. It is a lot, but I personally find it to be fun. So we'll see if I can add a couple more before the next video. With that being said, I'm out. Peace out.